Why, for the life of me, can't figure out why the fuck David Blanchard and his lovely wife are showing back up everywhere again. Huh? Is this going to be part of Becca's truth train? Is that where we're headed here? They're going to rewrite the truth, and they're going to finally just dissolve everything. They're going to set it straight. They're going to make a documentary with the neighbors, the first-hand neighbors that were there at the scene. He crawled through the window that he would never be able to fit through. And he left everything there, stiller than a cat. They're using her, if she goes through this documentary shit, to set this final truth, which will be a false narrative, which will boil down to is Gypsy's a complete asshole, and she was lying to everybody and conning everybody. But Nick's the one that took Dee Dee out on his own in that bedroom while she was in the bathroom, and nothing else happened. Period. He's the one that did it. He's the one that finally took her out. So everything's fair and square. He did the whole, she's not able to do the kill. She can't do the kill. She didn't do that. She's not a murderer. She doesn't identify as a murderer. That's why she had him do it. She can't do that. Right? And that's how it has to be. They're saying I killed her. I don't even kill animals. I don't hunt. I don't kill animals. I don't kill humans either. Remember? This is so crazy, man. So, David Blanchard has shown up so we can get this narrative, the final truth. Becca Scoops, the sleuth, the one that put out those perfectly put together documentary style, and her narrating the background, switching around to all this shit. Films that she just popped out of nowhere. I'm a retired psych and ICU nurse. That's convenient. That's awfully convenient. That Gypsy Rose Blanchard is crazy as a shithouse rat and everybody knows it. That you're a psych nurse. And ICU, well, what do we all think of when we think of ICU? Well, we think of tubes and IV lines and tubes and all these things. How convenient. Nurses that work in ICU for even 10 minutes by themselves that got through the 6 week deal. You got to train and follow an ICU nurse before they even let you do anything on your own. Knows the difference between invasive and evasive. I know this sounds crazy to you, but Bree has pointed this out, and she's right. And of all things, an ICU nurse, that's the most invasive shit going on up there, man. Oh my God. It's evasive procedure. She has evasive procedure. No, you don't mess that up one time. Not even, oh man, goddamn, we were far into nursing school and we wouldn't have done that anymore. This is absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention, she comes out of nowhere, Southern California. Red flag, red flag. These videos, I'm telling you, man, I was so impressed with those videos. I ran into one and I binge watched all of them that she made on Gypsy originally. Build her up. Build up her audience. Gain everyone's trust. Becca Scoops. She's where you go. Where she's got the receipts. She knows all the answers. Gain her trust. She's a psych nurse and the ICU nurse, and her old man is a veteran police detective. Well, let's see. I watched him on there. And, she throws it to him like, he's the expert there, the homicide detective. Well, he didn't seem to know much about perimeters, about crime scene investigation, about police procedure, the law, probable cause, what it is, what it's not. And how come the idiot guests she always has on her show happens to have no fucking clue and are going along with the stupid other narratives on her show? Why is that? She gains your trust, and you view her as an authority on this. So then whatever you follow from her is the truth, and she's leading you down a controlled opposition path. Stay away from the no baby and the fake relationship, and for the love of God, stay away from it, because Gypsy manipulated Nick into taking out Dee Dee. All right? Gypsy is a complete asshole for manipulating that boy. But Nick did it. All right? Can't get away from that. Okay? And that's the deal here. All right? Well, since David Blanchard is going to try this bullshit with her, okay, we're going to just, we're going to just go ahead and we're going to focus now. I've been instructed to. We're going to focus on number 3 of the big 3. I think we beat 1 and 2 in the ground, right? We know they pretty much go together. Fake relationship, there is no baby. We'll watch that crumble down in front of us, and we'll keep going at it. That's fine. All right. We're going to talk about number 3 too, because we need to come at it from both sides. And they make perfect sense. They told me it makes perfect sense. They said, listen. The people that have been exposed to satanic ritual abuse, or they know about it, they know it exists, and they watch everything, and what you tell them, you explain to them, they see that they'll believe that then, all right? And once they believe that, if they're on the fence or they believe she has a baby, they may be more apt to, they're going to take a closer look at that and say, well, shit, man. He's been screaming this since the very start. Never has changed on any of it. If it turns out he's telling the truth about this, well, he might be telling the truth about that too, and vice versa is true. You understand? So we come at it from both sides and cover all 3 of them. All 3 of the big 3. We can't neglect any of them. We shouldn't. All right, so let's talk about who was there that night. Of course, David Blanchard was her go-to person until she went to prison. Then it switched to Mike Stanfield was her go-to, her attorney. All right, who, guys, use your critical thinking skills and think. If he was a public defender to her, after the case was adjudicated and she went off to prison, that should have been it. He shouldn't have been running around to HBO and running around with her family, building a narrative to make her look like a victim and Nick look like an animal. Right? Of course not. That should have been severed. He wasn't even being paid. Come on, guys, think, man. That's what that is. All right? So anyway, David Blanchard, who Dee Dee and Gypsy were sent to meet them right away. They didn't just meet them there. They were sent there. Go-to people. He was the one that brokered the deal for her to finally officially do the sacrifice of the mother. Get Dee Dee out of the way. She was getting in the way of business, man. Get Dee Dee out the way. But Gypsy screwed up. We know about that. All right, so he was there leading the whole thing, directing Gypsy what to do to her mother during the torture role. Make no mistake, he wasn't directing her what to do. Why his wife, his silly, silly wife, was videoing it. Period, guys. This is what happened, man. All right? And then it was Dan Glidewell was there, Brian Rogers, a.k.a. Ace Bannister, and of course Gypsy. That's 5. Takes 6 to do one. Nick was the 6th and final scapegoat. Blame the whole thing on him. Let's take her out together, Nick, in the binding ritual, so we can be bound in the spirit realm forever. That's what happened that night, okay? Nothing else, not what they're telling you. The autopsy is fake. They knew the body was there on the 11th, but they had to wait for the right medical examiner to get on. They had to wait for the one to get on shift that was a Luciferian or adjacent to. And they had 4 days, 3 days, 4 days to sit down and think of the narrative they're going to do. And then they made the autopsy around it. Okay, a medical examiner is a doctor, but he's law enforcement, he or she. They're law enforcement that happen to be doctors, all right? They don't just do the biology of it. They don't just pull the body apart and do the autopsy and just write that shit down. No. They're supposed to do an investigation. And that's with anything where they don't know right away. You know, they come in, they open the body up, and there's an aneurysm. Well, you know, no one questions a good aneurysm. That's it. They're done. They call the family. It was an aneurysm. Right? But it's an investigative. An autopsy is an investigative tool. It's not the final answer on everything, okay? In the medical examiner's report. And they were waiting for the right one to get on it. That's why the body was there. That's why they told her to do the Facebook thing. Right? Think, guys. Okay, this is the whole setup. To put it on Nick, take it off of her, because she's one of them now. They will do anything to help her until she screws up. She is providing a bread and circuses for her. Look at all the madness, man. And she's an influence on children to hurt their parents, whether you want to believe it or not. She's messing with the subconscious or whatever, man. Or that's what they're trying. That's their aim. That's their goal. When the parents turn on their children, okay. But that's who was there that night. Make no mistake, okay. All of them were there. Don't let them fool you with this bullshit they're going to try to tell you. They're going to try to make some kind of documentary or something and then put it in stone. This is what really happened. This is the real story. All right? Or they're going to just lead it up to blaming everything on Gypsy instead of Dee Dee prior to the death. But it will still be Nick did the whole thing, and then who cares, right? Don't let them lie to you. I know what happened, man. Okay? It's on film, Gypsy. This is so ridiculous.